Hey guys, real quick, Bet2000 here. The video you're about to watch is from the comic book store in Burleson, Texas, Geek Out. There's going to be a link in the description to their Facebook page. They got all sorts of really cool stuff. They now sell Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I mean, that's where I'm recording the video you're about to watch. And they have comic books. They have like all sorts of other games. So you guys should check them out. I just want to make this quick part and shout them out before you guys watch the video called The Judge's Corner. Stick around.
Hey, what's up guys, I'm Ben2000YGO. I am your friendly neighborhood Yu-Gi-Oh superhero, and today guys, we're starting a new segment called The Judge's Corner, and I have with me is my friends Benji and Derek.
Hi.
Hello. And they are both judges, and they're also very judgy people, so you know.
I'm not judgy. I just like judging.
I can be.
I bet you that didn't make sense.
At least one of them was honest. I'm just Alright guys, so we're going to start with some general questions. I think that a lot of the Yu-Gi-Oh community needs to know, and then if anything we don't get to, guys, if you guys give this video enough likes, we will do another one. And guys, you can put your questions in the comments below, and we'll use that for the next one. So, I guess for the first thing I'm gonna ask you guys is about sleeves. So what's the rules on sleeves? Do they all have to be the same color? What's allowed on that?
So, official KDE policy, the one dated April 3rd, 2019, you can have all your sleeves need to be the same color. Even your extra deck can be the same color, but it's probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
Because if you present your deck, let's say you shuffle, you power shuffle, and you accidentally power shuffle a extra deck monster into your main deck, then if you present,
It becomes an illegal
your
deck.
then it becomes an illegal deck and it becomes a game loss.
Another thing is when it comes to like extra deck and side deck sleeves, some players will put their side deck on top of their extra deck, and in certain tournaments, the head judge will allow that. And I did hear a story recently about a couple years ago, a player. They had their side deck on top of their extra deck. All the sleeves were the exact same color. They summoned a extra deck monster from their side deck game one, and then later admitted that on a deck profile on YouTube. And it was in Top Cut as well. I believe it was top 16 going into top 8, and he ended up winning that match because of that.
Damn! So it just, different color sleeves help you maintain the game state better. It helps everyone maintain a game state better. I would always recommend that you have different colored sleeves for your extra deck than your main and side deck. So,
Also,
another thing about sleeves too, you need to make sure that before you go to a regional, before you go to a YCS, you get new sleeves if your sleeves are old. Whenever we do deck checks, that's one of the things we look for is marked cards, and even if they're unintentionally marked, it's still a penalty. So you could still get a game loss depending on the severity of the marked card. So make sure that you get new sleeves whenever you go to a regional or YCS.
and this should go without saying when it comes to sleeves, but some people still like to do it. Do not double sleeve your extra deck. It's still considered a part of the deck, and it's still under KDE policy. You cannot have any part of your deck double sleeved, and that does include the extra deck. You will get a game loss for that.
Yep, that will be a penalty.
That does include your tokens and field center now.
Yes.
That took
Tokens
my
and
next
field
question.
center. There you go. Everything.
All right, guys. So one of the things that you've been mentioning to me is that you had an experience with somebody talking about pen and paper.
Yes.
So tell the audience about that story.
At Tier 2 and 3 events,
Very quickly.
the KDE policy states pen and paper only, none of the pads that erase or anything that's electronic. Especially one that I'm assistant head judging or head judging, it's only pen and paper, and the reason for that is whenever we come over for a judge call, we need to be able to keep track of the game state, and part of that is keeping track of each deduction in life points. And you can't do it on a calculator, you have to do it on pen and paper, and that's the policy. Okay.
All right, so this one was a rather funny question because you talked about your favorite thing to deal with in tournaments, and that is slow play.
Oh man, this is our favorite topic here. This is
Here we go.
so for those that don't know or they haven't been to a tournament, the policy was changed, I believe, last year. Instead of going to 5 turns or 3 turns, we now go to end of phase, and then that's the end of match procedure.
Yep.
So naturally, you get a lot of slow play issues, a lot of slow play calls. So that creates conflict. It creates a lot of situations where judgment calls have to be made, which it does put a lot of pressure on the judges. But luckily, there's been some things that we've done, some standard practices to make sure that in the last minute or two of a game or a match, that slow play doesn't happen. The first thing is at the beginning of the tournament, we tell everyone that we will enforce slow play very strictly. Now, one thing to note, slow play is considered unintentional. If you're stalling, that is cheating, and you'll be submitted to the head judge for disqualification review.
Yep.
So anytime you get a slow play penalty, don't get snippy, don't get mad. It's always, if we tell you, if a judge tells you, hey, you're getting a slow play penalty, it's only a warning. And also, we will ask you, have you had a slow play warning prior in any of the prior rounds? Please answer truthfully, because if you don't, that's a whole different set of circumstances and a whole different penalty situation. Benji, anything to add to that?
No, really. You covered everything.
One of the things, and Brian, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. One of the things some of the things that we'll be looking for, checking your graveyard multiple times, checking your hand, shuffling your hand multiple times, looking at your opponent's graveyard more than 1 or 2 times, all of those things, or just slow playing. All of those constitute slow play, and those are things that we will check on. And any slow play penalty comes with an automatic 3-minute time extension according to policy. So please remember that as if you do slow play, and it's borderline stalling. So if you're going to slow play, the judge is going to come over and give you a 3-minute time extension. One of the things that we also run into is an opponent calls us over and says, hey, my opponent's slow playing. Well, if we don't have any prior run-ins with the player, or if you haven't called the judge over and you call us over within the last minute, then there's not really much we can do. We can only watch. But it puts us in a really bad spot because you're angry, and there's not really much we can do because we have no prior history, because you haven't called a judge until a minute before the match is over. So what we can do is, instead of saying, hey, my opponent's slow playing, sir, sir, ma'am, would you please come watch the match? And we can do that. We can't sit down, but we can at least watch the match. And we'll do whatever we can to make sure the slow play doesn't occur anymore.
All right, so this one's kind of a bit of a personal thing for me because if you guys don't know, I recently did a interview with Cyberknight, and him and I had a conversation about using Japanese cards and how we wish we could use them.
Yeah.
So, by the way, I did an interview with him. Shout out to that. Just saying. I know, shameless plug. Anyway.
Nothing wrong with that.
So why is it that we can't use Japanese cards? Is it just because some of them aren't released here yet, or
That's part of it.
in the
end, if it's in the policy, sometimes it's because it's in the policy.
So some of these rules, there's no rhyme or real reason to it. It's just the rules are rules.
We don't write the policy. We enforce the policy.
Right.
And we do the best we can to enforce the policy. I'm not going to say I don't agree with some of the policy, but that's not my place to say that. So we enforce the policy, and then what we will do is, if we're asked, we would recommend changes. And Konami North America does ask for those from time to time. Mm-hmm. They ask for policy input. They ask, how did these events go, so they can monitor that, collect data on it, and then make a decision for any policy changes in the future. So it's not like they're ignoring us. It's not like they're ignoring what's going on. There's a lot of people that just watch, and it's sometimes you don't even know. They could be a Konami employee and you would never know it. They blend in. They're all really nice people, but they're always looking for ways to improve this game and make the policy better.
Well, I'll keep my opinions
Another,
on that for another video.
Benji?
Another reason is in my opinion, some of the Japanese cards do have alternate arts that aren't over here. So it does make it a little bit harder when right off the bat, it's not going to be recognizable to the opponent.
Yeah.
Like if I
Or
play
to a judge coming
yeah.
over to make a judge call.
Yeah, if I play a card and it's a different artwork than it is over here, it's not going to be readily available. Like, oh, it's this card.
Yeah.
And even with a translation, it's still not like, well, they could be lying because it's a different artwork.
And since we're on that, let's talk about translations right quick. Translations, if you can type out your translations for all your cards, that would be great.
Please.
Handwriting is preferable, or having a copy of it, but typing is the best way for us to be able to. It's not for us; it's for your opponent, because your opponent. This is a game between two people, and any time that two people interact, there needs to be a way to translate some of the foreign cards that you can play. One of the things that's not preferable is your entire deck being foreign. It's allowed, but it's really cumbersome in a tournament. So think about it if you bring it. So yep.
All right. So funny thought to expand on that a little further.
Yeah.
And then I'll have one other question. So the idea here is like, what is the best way for translations then? Like in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I just have to either carry a whole other box with me of like cards that are in English,
yeah.
or a piece of paper with
Yeah,
translations.
that's how you're gonna do it.
Or make a, what do you call it? Like when you were in school, you know, you make the flash
The
cards.
Rolodex, yeah.
Yeah, you make
like
a little flash
like 3x5 cards, yeah.
Yeah. Is there any wrong way to make a translation?
It needs to be legible.
Oh, that's it. So
and
it could
you
be
can't use an electronic device.
Yep.
So it needs to be legible, no electronic devices.
Okay, so is there a reason for that?
Policy.
Okay. All right. So my last question.
Sorry to interrupt you. I do want to interject one thing really quick when it comes to translations. There was a really awesome one that I had when I was playing in an event recently. His entire deck was in German. It was a Sky Striker deck. He had every single card translated, typed out in a binder, and translated into multiple languages because it was all German. So he had English for the card, Spanish, Portuguese, French, and Italian as well.
And that's going above and beyond, which is
Yeah.
really cool. So that's really cool. I mean, that's creative. That's I'm sure he probably played in multiple areas,
Yeah.
so that's probably
Yeah.
the reason.
I want to say he said he was from Europe, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
All right. So my final question is consequences for judges who make poor rulings or make poor choices, for to say, while at these events. So like one of the things that me and Derek were talking about on the way here.
Yeah.
Is we were talking about like, okay, so what if I have a judge who makes a bad ruling and continues to make the same bad ruling throughout the day?
Yeah.
And he's, so what are the consequences for that when a judge constantly makes a bad
So
ruling?
let's go through the judge program. The judge program is volunteer.
Yep.
And this game is complicated. I don't care what other people say. It's got a 46-page rule book and then 3 other policy documents that are at least 30-plus pages.
Yep.
Not to mention at least a 7-part blog on problem-solving card text. So judges are not perfect. They will make mistakes.
Wait, what?
They, I have never
That's
said
it.
I'm
Video's
perfect.
over. No, the video's
Yeah,
over.
but-
You're not perfect.
We're definitely not. We're definitely not perfect. We're not going to be. Everybody has. I would say 99% of the judges do have outside jobs. They have outside lives. They don't have time to study Yu-Gi-Oh 24/7. And honestly,
all the time.
and I saw this thread in Zodiac and had my own opinions on it. But even baseball umpires that are paid to do this, thousands a year, NFL referees, they all get it wrong. And it's the same thing with the judge. You have to be patient. It is a game. Be respectful of the ruling. But in my situation, if I'm going to mentor someone and say, look, it's okay if you get it wrong. Everybody's going to get something wrong. It's how you follow up and make sure that you don't get it wrong anymore that counts. If someone gets something wrong, then usually a team lead will pull them to the side, or a mentor judge will pull them to the side and say, hey, you got this wrong. Here's how you got it wrong. Here's how it works. And then give them advice on how not to do it again. If you keep making the same mistake over and over and over again, the chances of you getting picked for another event are probably going to be pretty low.
Yep.
The judge community is a very tight-knit community with a lot of different personalities and a lot of different people. What we are is respectful of each other, and that's what we do. Respectful of the player, respectful of the game, and representing ourselves at all times as a judge. That's what we're told to do, and frankly, that's common sense. Once you're a judge, you're a judge. You're not just a player anymore. If you're identified, especially if you get the official Konami judge shirt, that signifies that you have judged a tier 3 event, and you have some semblance of what you are doing.
Yep.
So we need to represent ourselves in that way, online and online forums, in real life, to represent the game. I mean, that's what we do. So we want to be polite, and we want to make sure that people are taken care of. So if somebody does make a wrong ruling, which is going to happen, once again, that's what we said, right? So they're going to be counseled on it. They're going to be showed, hey, this is how you do it right. And if they continue to make the same mistake, then the chances are they're not going to work another event. Now, I know that's not solace to the people that get a bad ruling and it affects their whole tournament, but it's a volunteer organization. And volunteer organizations need volunteers. We need people to come in. And frankly, if you think that you're being treated unfairly, if you think that the judge is wrong, you always have a right to appeal. Always. If you feel you can appeal all the way up to the head judge, and remember that rulings are only made for that one event. So a good example is YCS Knoxville 2019, the Dengirsu window ruling, where the head judge got it wrong, and he put out and Josh is a wonderful man.
Yep.
He does a great job. Love working with him, love working for him. He's a great mentor to me. Has helped me with a lot of things. He put out a post saying, hey, this is the decision-making process that we went through, and I was wrong, and he put it out there, and that's the way it should be. We should take ownership if we're wrong, and we're going to come find you. That's what I do, is if I get a ruling wrong, I'll wait till after the match is over and say, hey, I got this ruling wrong, here's what it is. Yep. So there's going to be people that are going to get mad. Just control, and it's fine to get mad. It's fine to take your, vent a little bit, but make sure you're respectful of that as well, and not too out of control. So
I make no promises.
man, you don't want to do that. There were other things that we wanted to talk about, and I know we were discussing this in the car. Benji, do you have anything else that I think that the players should know about that we run into on a regular basis? Mainly card rulings. I think I'm much more of a policy people, making sure people are okay, customer service. Benji is much better than me at rulings. So and it does show. I mean, it's just he is much better, and I'm not afraid to admit that. I'm much better at whenever you're a judge, it's not just about rulings. And if you want to be a judge, understand that rulings are taking the RC1 test is only the very, very beginning of your path. You need to know policy. You need to be able to interact with people. You need to be able to work as a team on a 40 or 50 man team at a YCS, or even a 10 to 15 man team at a regional. So it's only one part. Rulings are only one very small part of being a judge.
Okay, guys. Well, that's going to wrap up this first episode of the Judge's Corner. Benji has a YouTube channel, a YouTube channel. Shout it out.
It is Thinkin' and Geekin', but I have not updated it in over a year and a half.
Well, subscribe to him so he'll get off his words I can't say on YouTube to make content for you guys.
Hey, does this thing work?
No.
Thanks, Brian.
You could have turned us all into frogs.
I mean, that's you. I'm not wearing Omnitrix. So.
No. All right, guys. I'm Bit2THatWasWedge. I am your friendly neighborhood Yu-Gi-Oh superhero, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.